Nicole, and today I'm going to talk to you about SAS. SAS stands for Syntactically Awesome Style Sheets, and it's a CSS extension language that makes writing CSS more efficient and more flexible. It's more efficient because SAS allows you to reuse your code for different elements in your website, and it's also more flexible because you can set different variables in SAS. This is unlike CSS. So when we write SAS, we cannot directly run it through a browser because browsers don't understand it. So we need to first translate our SAS code to CSS so the browser can read it. So the first thing we should do is install SAS. And then there's two ways to do this. The first way is through an application, and then the second way is through a command line. And then if you're not running on a Mac, you would first need to install Ruby, but if you're running on a Mac like me, Ruby is already pre-installed, so we just can skip that part. So now I'm going to show you how to install it via command line. So first you want to make sure that you're in the right directory or in your project directory. And then you want to type in sudo gem install SAS. From there you'll be prompted to type in your password and press enter. And then you can see that it was installed. The files we will be working with today include an index.html file, an index.css file, and an index.scss file. The index.html file is a normal HTML file. It's the content for the web page. And then the index.css file is connected to the HTML file, so that is directly styling the HTML file, but we will not be writing in this file. We will do all our writing in the index.scss file, where once we save our .scss file, it should be automatically translated into CSS and put into our index.css file. So to do this, we first need to make sure that we're in the right project. SAS index.scss, index.css, and then that is used just so the command line knows what files we're talking about. And then we SAS -- watch index.scss : index.css, and then that connects our .css file with our CSS file. So right now, this is our index.html. Just like no styling, this is our web page. Like this is just the content, not very cute. So at the top we have a nav, and then we have two like bottom banner type thing. So I'm gonna talk to you about variables now. So variables in SAS act like normal variables. Instead of var variable name equals the value of the variable, it's $, variable name, : value of the variable. So right now I've set 3 variables. One, the name off-white is to the color of the hex, #FFF7DF, lavender to the corresponding, and heading to a font size. So these are helpful because when you're like going through CSS and you're like going through hex, it's really hard to remember like a hex code, and when you see hex code, you're not like, oh yeah, that's off-white. So it's nice to put it in a variable name. Also, it's nice like all you can do like a variable name like headings, so then you just can put that for all of your headings. You can write heading and not just like 42. So it's like it makes more sense. To use the variables we just created, we first need to select an element from our HTML. And to do this, it's exactly the same as we were to do it in CSS. I've selected the nav, and then as you can see, I've set the style background to my variable lavender, so the background color of my nav should be lavender. When I save this and it translates into CSS, you get this, and then the result is a purple nav bar. So here is my second example about using a variable. As you can see in my index.html, I have this class title. I want to do something with it, so I select it with my .css file, and I set the font size to the heading, which I want, and the color also to off-white. And when I save this, it translates into the CSS, which looks like this. And then you get the result of these off-white titles, which you can't really see because I chose off-white, and I don't really know why. Okay, so one of the perks to variables is that it's really easy to change a lot of things just with one line of code. Like, for example, my heading is 62 pixels right now, but then what if I want to change it to 100 pixels? And I want to change all of my headings. I don't have to search through my CSS, and then when the results come in, both of my headings are at 100 pixels, and I just had to change one line of code. So now I'm going to talk to you about nesting in Sass. Nesting is nice because it keeps all of the styling elements for one section in one block, whereas compared to CSS, you have little individual sections that select one thing and they can get mixed up and disorganized, and it's just annoying. So as you can see in my HTML, I have my nav bar and then everything nested in that. So when I select things in my .css file, I can do it like this, where there's my nav bar, and nested in my nav bar is the UL and the list item and the anchor tag. I'm pretty sure it still works if you want to double or triple nest things, because nav is nested in UL and list item is nested in the unordered list, but that just ends up looking messy, and it works this way and it looks pretty. You just can do that. So then when this translates into index.css, as you can see, it has little 4 little sections that can be separated. Things can get in between them, and it's hard to keep them all together. Whereas in Sass, it's in one nice block. Everything in this thing is all about the navigation. So here's an example of nesting. I've filled in the nested thing with different style elements, and then when it just translates, it's that you can still see the 4 little different separate annoying little things, and then the result, woo, we have a nav bar. So now I'm going to talk to you about mixins. And mixins are basically a block of code that you can reuse in different parts and use in different elements without having to type all of these style elements again. So right here, I've created a mixin, @mixin, and this is just a mixin name like banner. You can do anything there. And then I have some style elements here. As you can see, my thing is nested with a .content image and a paragraph. So then when you save this, it doesn't change anything in your website yet because you haven't set it to an element. You just kind of made a little block of code. So then to set it to an element, you do an @include and then the mixin name. And then right now I'm getting my first element banner, and then I'm taking all of these style things and putting it in my first banner, but I don't have to type it all, which is super nice. And then what I get, look, my first banner is nice and pretty. So right now I have applied my mixin to also my destinations banner, and then I don't have to rewrite all of that code. I just can write one more line of code, and all of those style elements are in destinations banner also. And what do I get? Ooh! Now both of the banners are matching. A cool thing about mixins is that you can change an element just in one place, and then it occurs in multiple places, wherever you use the mixin. And then so you don't have to go searching through your CSS to try to find that one thing. You just can change it in one place, which is super nice. And then also when you use a mixin, the elements don't have to be exactly the same. As you can see, I included a dark magenta color in my .first banner. It overrides whatever was in the banner. So then I want similar elements. I want my first banner and destinations banner to be pretty much the same, except the coloring of it. So when you get that and get this, as you can see, it's formatted all the same. Everything's the same. The only thing that's different is the color of this paragraph right here, which is like super nice. You don't have to, you can add something, you can change something, it's great. So what we did today was just go over SAS and the variables, nesting, and mix-ins. I really hoped you enjoyed this video, and I had fun making it. Yay!